Hey everyone, my name is Nathan and welcome to Hail. So I haven't done one of these videos in about a year. I wanted to make a quick video where I recommend some Criterion titles to you, ones that you should pick up during the sale that's going on right now, whether you're watching this in July, in November, or if you're just preparing for a sale coming up in the future. But today, I'm not recommending 6, I'm recommending 7. As usual, I will go in order of spy number. Now on my channel, I had this ongoing joke that the Criterion that you see at every sale, but you never buy, is called The Night to Remember, because for the longest time, Night to Remember was that movie for me, where every time I saw it, I was like, someday I'm gonna get that Titanic movie, but not today. And then one time I finally got it, but to this day, I still call movies Night to Remember if it has that problem where I see them, I know I want them, but I never get them. Anyways, this movie is Young Mr. Lincoln. Now, it's been on the collection for a long time. I mean, spine number 320, you can imagine how long that's been. I feel like it's something that has always intrigued me, you know? Henry Fonda starring as Abraham Lincoln, plus Abraham Lincoln, great US president, and it's all about his early life when he was serving as a lawyer. I have always been very intrigued by it, but it wasn't until I watched it a few months ago that it sealed the deal and I was like, okay, I have to stop putting it off. I am buying it during this sale. In fact, you'll see that the sealing is still on there because I actually bought some of these titles today because I've been waiting for the sale to happen. Young Mr. Lincoln is all about Abraham Lincoln covering a court case that happened early on in his career, and so if you like courtroom dramas, then you'll really enjoy this one. Like many courtroom dramas I'm a fan of, it has a lot of good back and forth talking in the courtroom, as well as a lot of good drop the mic moments. Plus, it just gives you a better idea of who Abraham Lincoln was, and I think Henry Fonda transformed for this role. I mean, really the only reason you know it's him is because of the voice. It's so distinct as Henry Fonda, but other than that, he transforms into this role, and I think he does a great job. If you've been keeping up with my 25 movie challenge series, I recently watched 25 Western movies for the first time. This one was one of my favorites. It is spy number 657. That is 3:10 to Yuma. 3:10 to Yuma isn't a Night to Remember title in the sense that I always see it, but I've never had a desire to buy it because I actually heard that it was a pretty boring movie, so I just didn't have much interest in actually blind buying it and paying the money to watch it and everything. Lo and behold, I watched it a few months ago, kind of like Young Mr. Lincoln, and just fell in love with it, and it became an instant definite for this sale. It is an amazing Western movie. If you've seen the remake, which a lot of people have seen the remake than the original, I feel. It's the same storyline and everything, but they do differ in some aspects. They go in different directions, especially towards the end of the story. If you've been meaning to watch this, if you like Westerns, or even if you're kind of experimenting with Westerns, I would highly recommend watching this one. This was the first one I watched in my 25 movie challenge for Westerns, and it completely changed my outlook on the Western genre. I thought all Westerns were the same, but this movie introduced a more broad sense of Westerns, where they're not all just cowboys riding on their horses. There's actual stories to them. This one definitely has a great story and moments that shocked me, so I highly recommend this one. Next up is spy number 860. It's a movie that I watched during Noirvember in 2021. It is Mildred Pierce. Now, this is a big recommendation for me because Mildred Pierce goes against all the noir norms. At least in my opinion, it does. When you look at noirs, a lot of time the female characters are always the supporting love interest. Mildred Pierce is the exact opposite, where Joan Crawford, she is the leading lady. There's not really a leading man in this one. She is the main star. I mean, her name is the title of the movie right there, which is refreshing on its own, but then you throw in a really good story and great acting, unexpected directions it goes in, and it makes for a very entertaining and enjoyable watch. I highly recommend this one, especially for those who are fans of noir movies. If you don't buy it this sale, maybe even November will be a good sale to buy it in since it is the noir time of year. So in 2021, I kept track of every Criterion I watched. This next one that I show you was actually my number 1 out of the whole year. It is spy number 945. It is A Raisin in the Sun, starring Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier has 2 movies currently in the collection. He has Buck and the Preacher coming out soon, so he will soon have 3. But to me, this is not only his best in the collection, might even be my just favorite movie from him in general. I think he gives an outstanding performance. The movie deals with a lot of different hot topics. It deals with poverty. It deals with being African American during a time where it wasn't popular to be African American. And then when you couple that with great performances by everyone in the family and just a really powerful story about family in general and being strong, sticking together, not separating. It is an amazing movie. Very dramatic, very strong, very emotional. I highly recommend watching this one and buying this one. Even if it's a blind buy, just take my word for it. Check it out. Watch it. Let me know what you think. All right, number next. Sorry, I had a teacher in college who always said number next when he was going through problems, and It annoyed me so much, and I cannot believe I just stooped that low and actually said that. Anyways, the next movie I'm going to talk about is Spine number 974. It is The Heiress. This movie stars Olivia de Havilland. It's a movie about her being very rich, very well off. However, she is not yet married. Because she's not married, it's a concern of everyone around her. It takes place in the 1800s, I believe. I can't find a specific year on the back, but I believe it takes place in the 1800s. Anyways, she's getting older and older each and every day and still isn't married until Montgomery Clift comes into her life and she starts falling in love with him. Now, I'm a sucker for Montgomery Clift. This movie made me a huge fan of Olivia de Havilland. Makes me want to see a lot more movies from her, but this one sealed the deal. She gives an amazing performance, probably my favorite female performance I've seen thus far in 2022. And the story it all works out so perfectly. By the end of the movie, I was clapping. It's just very satisfying what happens. There are moments where you're smiling, there are moments where you're very sad. You go through a ton of emotions. Plus, the cherry on top, it's a movie directed by William Wyler, who is one of the greatest directors of all time. So I give this a huge recommendation. Please buy it. Next up, we have Spy number 1111. 1111. It is Dick Johnson is Dead. This movie comes with rave reviews from me. It was one of my favorite movies of 2020, and it's one of the only movies in my life, actually, that I cried not once, but twice. Might have even cried 3 times. It could very well have been because that was the week I had COVID as well. But besides that, it's just a very heartwarming and emotional documentary about Kirsten Johnson's father. He's getting older and older, getting closer to death, and so she's making a documentary about him dying. He's still very much well and alive in the documentary. He plays a huge role, obviously, but coming to the reality that someday he is going to die and they have such a strong connection and relationship, it just really got me. And there are some moments in this documentary that were just so genuine, moments where he wanted to drive a car, for an example, and he wasn't allowed to drive a car because of his sickness. So little things like that where you see his reaction to knowing that he can't do certain things and he knows that he's getting older. It is so sad, guys. And also movies with elderly people who are nearing the end of life, that is a weakness of mine, and it always gets me. So you can imagine how much I loved but also was wrecked by Dick Johnson is Dead. Now, this is also a Netflix documentary, so you can watch it there, but I highly recommend picking up the Criterion because it comes with those supplements that we love from Criterion, and plus show some support to Kirsten Johnson so that she can make some more amazing documentaries. And the final movie that I am going to show today is one of the newest releases from Criterion. It is Spy number 1126. It is a 4K edition of Double Indemnity. Now, if you're watching this video in the first place about what Criterions you should buy, odds are you've heard of Double Indemnity. It's popular even outside of the Criterion community. I mean, it's just a very iconic black and white movie directed by Billy Wilder, one of the best noirs made of all time. Despite the fact that you know what this movie is, it's not an underrated title in the collection, maybe that you were hoping for in this recommendation video, I am still including it in my lineup because hopefully this is the motivation that you need to go out and actually buy it and watch it. Because once you see it, I don't think you will regret it at all. It is a very well-written movie. I mean, look who it's written by. Billy Wilder, probably the best Hollywood scriptwriter ever in history. He's just amazing. Everything he touches is gold. If you're a fan of Alfred Hitchcock, I will also say this movie has very similar vibes to Dial M for Murder. And even, I was gonna say even some vibes of Strangers on a Train, but maybe I'm just being a little obvious there. I won't say anything else, but if you like Alfred Hitchcock and if you're just diving into Billy Wilder's work, I highly recommend this one because I think it will only make you like Billy Wilder even more. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video, for hearing some of my recommendations. I wanted to give a mix of movies that you've heard of and a mix of movies that you maybe haven't heard of, or even movies that maybe you knew were on the collection, but you just need that extra reminder to go out and actually buy them. Now, the great thing about this video is that not only do recommendations come from me, they come from you as well. So please leave your comments below in the comment section of what you would recommend people buy during this sale, and also read the comments so that you can see some other suggestions. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day.